welcome to a new episode of the Customer Growth Podcast. Today, super excited. We have Guy Galon. He's an industry expert in the field of customer success and also post-sales management. And he's the VP of Customer Success at Obrela. So very excited to have you guys. Thanks for joining the podcast. It would be really great to have a quick intro, and then we start with our initial topic, building and growing best-in-class success teams. So you developed a multifaceted CSM framework, and we are super eager to hear more about that.
Thank you, Christian, for inviting me. A pleasure to be here. So quick introduction about myself. I've been in customer success and customer management role for more than 20 years. Actually started my career as a software engineer, which was a very good start to be comfortable with technology. But 2 years later, I had the chance to move to London. And since then, I found myself enjoying interacting with customers on the border between technology and commercials, scoping, projects. I kind of did most of the post-sale roles throughout the years, ranging from support, post-sale when there was no cloud. It was mainly on-prem deployments, program management, project management, customer success, and some sales at some stage. And today, as you mentioned, I work for Obrela as a VP of Customer Success. And when I have time, I join podcasts like in interviews like yourselves. I write on LinkedIn. I have my own website. And try to contribute as much as possible to our customer success limited.
Great, thanks for the intro. Very exciting, and also super eager to dive into the topic with you right now. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, our topic is like building and growing customer success teams. And you, back in 2022, if I'm not mistaken, built a dedicated framework called the multifaceted CSM Framework to really tackle that. And back then we had the pandemic. Maybe drive us a little bit through your ideas, how you came up with that. What challenges did you identify?
Yes, so I wrote about it in 2022. I actually came up with the framework even before COVID. I was struggling at the time to find CSMs that I could work with. I was, increasing the headcount of my team. I had specific requirements for customer success in specific domain of expertise in specific territory, and without mentioning more details about it, but I struggled. I interviewed many people and did not find the right candidates, and said, all of them say they were customer success with a lot of customer success experience, but I couldn't asking them specific questions about their experience skills didn't come out as the right people for my team. So I decided, instead of, just insisting on customer success experience, let's try and understand what core capabilities I need in my team. And I tried to break it down to different core capabilities, which at that time, I'm talking about 2019, 2020, by the way, it was very helpful for me also with COVID. I came up with 4 main facets or domains of expertise that I thought, could cover most of the customer success domains. One of them was domain expertise. So how much do you know about the industry in which you work with? How much experience do you have? Were you a consultant? Were you an expert in your domain? That's one. Then the project management person that can manage a plan, run priorities, understand risks and mitigations. Third one was someone who's very comfortable with numbers and run data analysis and work with different data analysis tools and reporting. And the fourth one was what I call the negotiator, the person that is a bit more commercial driven, can handle difficult discussions, potentially negotiate, not necessarily sales negotiation, but to be able to defend his corner when needed when facing the customer. So those were the 4 facets. And when I broke it down like that, I could kind of say, okay, for this role, I need at least 2 of these facets or areas of expertise. And that allowed me also to kind of focus my questions in which exact expertise I was looking for. And that simplified my process.
Cool. Yeah, I totally can imagine and relate to that. So I mean, I was also in the kind of same challenge, and also the role of the customer success manager developed back then quite a lot. So more expertise was needed in different fields, like exactly you described. And I think if you think in the metrics, it's a great framework to say, okay, I specifically need a profile which tackles the first and the third profile, and then I can dedicate my questions exactly to what's needed in that kind of profile. So super excited, and maybe drive us a little bit further. So then you develop that, and I guess you implement that also, or implemented it in your company back then, and tested that. And if I understand the concept right, so you have basic profile on soft skills, kind of like customer facing and all these kind of things. And then you kind of add up these industry expertise or like the project management profile. And then you have like a complementary framework really to hire and to grow and nurture the expertise of your CSMs. So that's the hiring part. And I think there's also the training and development part behind that. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about that one, because I think that's really exciting as well.
Yeah, so that's a natural like flow for this model. But maybe just one more thing about one comment about the skills, the soft skills, which you pointed out, which is very much true. So the underlying assumption is that, the people that can be so customer facing have to have very good communication skills, all unwritten. They can be proactive. They can be empathetic. They can show empathy to customers. They can listen. They can ask the right questions. So that, I'm not saying that all of that is very easy to master, but you are also, of course, looking for those candidates that have these capabilities, the basic ones. Now, the good thing about the model is that, okay, you can say, I need someone who is very strong in project management and has very good domain expertise. And then if I know what his or her strengths are, I can also start building the foundations to make them better in what they do. So if I need them to learn more about data analysis, I can, it could be a course, it could be somebody else that will mentor them. They can work, they can give them different projects to improve their capabilities. If I want them to be better or to kind of get them ready for the next steps in terms of career growth, they may need to learn how to handle their objections. They may want to be able to see how they drive opportunities with sales, right? They don't have to sell anything, but they have to get closer to sales. So sales should not be a word that will frighten them or intimidate them.
I agree. Yeah.
So I think with this model, you can first of all see where your starting point is as a manager and also as a CSM, and you can build on top, the next steps. And I think CSMs in my teams were very, very much appreciative of that because they could see the path that I'm trying to build for them.
Well, good, very interesting. And maybe going a step back, as you said, you identified these 4 basically profiles. Maybe how did you do that? What was your approach? And also what could someone doing that exercise for his or her team also take out of that?
I think you need to look at the customer success domain. As you mentioned before, it's changing all the time. I don't think the way we saw customer success 10 years ago is what happens today. And it's also subjected to environment, to economic changes. We saw geopolitical issues. You have COVID. Things happen all the time. So I think the good thing about this model, it's flexible. Can you add more facets? Yes, you can. We can talk about it later because I think reality dictates that things change. But I think this is the good basic to start with. And customer success managers, if you run a poll around the world, I think you would hear that they need to be organized enough as if they are PMs. They need to be analytical enough to be able to understand customer behavior patterns and then be comfortable with data. They need to be able to speak to customers sometimes in more difficult situations. Today, we also ask them to drive more opportunities and grow the business. And obviously, you want them to be domain experts to the extent that they can be. There are certain domains where it's very critical. In my domain, cybersecurity, it's very difficult to be a CSM if you don't have some knowledge of this domain. Maybe other domains, it's much easier. So that gives you the flexibility to kind of adjust yourself also with what the market needs, and what your specific domain is, or what your company needs at a certain stage from the CS department.
Understood. Cool. And then you stated that, so before COVID, you developed that framework. Then it was really helpful in the times of the pandemic. But now we're in 2024, and I can imagine in these, let's say, 2 years, 3 years, there's also, as you stated, the environment, the political situation, a lot changed. These kind of concept framework also changed or needed a change. And as I spoiled before, you adapted it, you learned with the time. So share with us what are the news, and what did you learn in the past 2 to 3 years?
Yes. So maybe the first learning is related to one of the existing roles or facets, which is the negotiator part. So it's very clear for many leaders in the market today and companies that we want CSMs to be more closer to the revenue part of the business. Value is important, relationship is important. I don't expect CSMs to sell contracts and negotiate with procurement or with legal, but I do expect them to leverage. And I believe one of your, I think, there are few leaders that I'm sure will also be already been in your podcast or will be in your podcast will say the same thing, that they are trusted advisors. So if you invest enough because of your experience, because of the relationship, because of your value to the customers, you're being a trusted advisor or close to that. So customers don't expect you to sell them something they don't need. So if they expect and trust you that you don't sell them something they need, when they need something, they will trust you that this is what they need. And this should enable you to drive more opportunities within your existing book of business and involve sales when needed, which is another capabilities that I can kind of say within the negotiator profile, to be able to engage and collaborate more with sales. So that's one change that definitely impacts the market today, at least for the last at least 18 months for sure. Another thing that I kind of created an updated version for my 2022 article was what I call the AI Copilot, which is still in motion. So let's see what happens. But it's clear today, not just for CS, but many other professionals, that we need to live and coexist with AI. I call it the AI Copilot because I don't know if we'll become a co-pilot of the AI or AI will become a co-pilot for us, for ourselves.
Good point.
So we need to see what happens, but at least we should be aware of what capabilities are. We should know what generative AI, we should know about tools. Any tools today in the market for CS, sales, marketing always claims that they have AI embedded. What does it mean? What's the use cases? Even if I don't need to be an AI expert, I need to understand what the value is, because eventually I will need to sell that value to someone else. Somebody will sell the value to me. I will have to sell it to other ones. Plus, I will have to find a way to be more efficient in what I do. So I think all of this combined together, and you get yourself another profile that I think augments the all other profiles, and I for sure will evolve within the next 1 or 2 years. So maybe in 2 years, I'll have a different view or a slightly different view on what I know today.
Yeah, two very valid points or perspectives. So on AI, as it is quite evolving these days, it's hard to say where it goes and which direction. And as you mentioned, are we the co-pilot or the way around? That's a big question mark, I guess. But at least learning how to effectively coexist and how to leverage the advantages of to make our jobs easier, to be more precise, and to focus on the value we can bring. I think that's a big opportunity. The other part, maybe we can dive a little bit more in that, because as you just mentioned, the role of a CSM, of a customer success manager, also brings the perspective going more into revenue growth. So that's also exciting, because before it was a little bit, okay, satisfaction, customer happiness kind of, but if it comes to revenue, to selling, to sales, it was quite a split perspective, so to say. What's your opinion on that? And what do you think is like the role in revenue growth for a CSM or CSM team, in your opinion?
And you still hear people that say that they should not get anywhere close to a revenue or money discussions. Fair enough. I think CS today is a challenge. How do you measure success of customer success? So it's just customer satisfaction. Everything runs so fast. So you could be satisfied one day, and 1 week later you will not be satisfied with the customer. Relationship is good, is important. I had customers we did not have very good relationship with, and they stayed, and I had very good relationship with customers who decided for different reasons to leave. So I think the way the marketing runs today, especially when customer success teams were reduced in headcount, people look at us, customer success, and say, "Can you contribute to revenue of the organization?" Right? We have new logos, but we have existing accounts. Can you help? So it's not just a renewal, but we want to grow, and that's part of the promise of SaaS, right? You bring the customers, you make them feel very comfortable, achieve what they need to achieve, and then they can grow with you and increase. And as they expand, you expand as well. Fair enough. But somebody needs to do that. In certain companies, sales will have more attention. In some other companies, and rightfully so, sales will have less attention because they are expected and maybe incentivized to bring more new logos. So who is incentivized to increase the revenue for existing customers? I think both sales and CS can do that. As I said before, you can split the responsibilities. So CS don't need to negotiate or start running pricing with customers, but they can definitely, what I call, bake the cake. Identify the opportunity, qualify it. It's not rocket science to qualify an opportunity, especially if you are a domain expert. Even estimate it, work with sales, and 80% of the cake is ready. Just make sure that the seller will put it in the oven in the right temperature and make sure that it goes out before it gets burned.
Yeah, I think we share that opinion because I also think like contributing to the sales aspect, and if not selling, then it's contributing. I don't know, customer success, qualified leads, whatsoever, but you have the opportunity, your customer, you have in most of the times, a good relationship, and you identify the different use cases and can really validate also for cross-selling opportunities, I guess. Okay, is that an option for the customer? And then you play it back to sales, and sales can do like the negotiation contracting part. But as you just stated, I think the synergy is quite close, and at least you should learn and adapt the collaboration between these two departments, because often I see it really siloed these days, and then you have sales and then you have CS, and there's maybe no collaboration or really a slow one, and success is seen as a satisfaction driver and sales just for closing. But bringing both sides together, have a really intense exchange also for existing customers. I think that's quite important topics you mentioned. So really exciting.
Maybe one more thing to add is that there are some other collaboration aspects that sometimes are often not talked about. Is you get a lot of experience in CS about what use cases work, what are the challenges. Think about sharing all this experience back with sales and pre-sales teams so they can refine the message, they can reiterate the value, they can tell customers how other customers, even if they don't mention the name or they do mention the name, work very well with the product or with the solution. Moreover, think about you bringing some customers that are willing to be a reference customers or advocates.
Yeah.
And then this is all being utilized by sales. So the collaboration is quite endless from my perspective. So many opportunities to work and win as a team. So sellers eventually, yes, they have their own particular characteristics, but they will partner with whoever will help them to sell. And if you help them to sell, why not? They will help. They will work with you. They will help you. They will appreciate your contribution.
Yeah, 100% aligned. And then it's working as a catalyst or an accelerator, basically, also with the things you mentioned in kind of advocacy, like community use cases, and you can, from sales side or marketing side, use that information to better also target new customers, but then also the existing ones. So there's like something in for quite every department if you build that right. And then it's more, in my opinion, like kind of a flywheel, so to say, where you think all the information goes round the company and is placed at the teams you need it the most and where's contributing the best way, kind of. So yeah, totally aligned with that. Cool. Maybe as time is kind of flying, we have some minutes, so no stress. but it would be really interesting to get some insights, hands-on tips and tricks, how you would recommend to implement the CSM framework we talked about. And then also maybe on the other part, what's your opinion on like the revenue driving CSM? Also maybe some tips, some tricks for the audience to directly pick up and implement within their teams or their skill set.
Okay, so let's start with the multifaceted or the multi-profile CSM. A CSM, CS leader should be able to understand the objectives or the strategy of his or her company and drive and understand what the KPIs and objectives the team has. If he or she doesn't have that, then this model will not work. You need to start with, what am I expected to deliver? And I don't want to get to specific examples. There are some common objectives for CS in some companies and some industries maybe vary, but it's important that you align yourself with what the company needs to deliver. And then you can start breaking it down. Okay, so I know what are the main objectives and KPIs. I know what my KPIs as a leader. How do I translate it to my team? And when you translate it to your team, you can say, okay, I need my team to be able to make sure that we onboard customers within 2 weeks, 2 months, depending on the complexity. Okay, and then therefore they have to show certain capabilities to run a plan, monitor a plan, to run a risk. Therefore, I may need some capabilities of project management in my team. Let's say I'm very mature and it's a real product-led growth and it's very easy, but still I have a lot of starting customers that start for free and we need to convert them. So I need someone who is a domain expert and can run, those very quick sessions or know how to convert customers from being freemium to paying customers. And then I need somebody who's maybe the negotiator or the commercial or a combination of someone who's also domain expert, because maybe it requires some domain expertise. So the objectives will derive certain capabilities that I need, which can be mapped to those different profiles. And if I have those profiles, I can also prepare based on what I need, those set of questions that I need, and how do I evaluate and measure the relevant experience of the candidates. And later on, when I do that, I can also, as I mentioned before, to use that as a growth journey for CSMs. I used to say that there is a customer journey. There's also the CSM journey. You onboard, you recruit, you onboard, and then you want to create a stickiness or adoption to your team and to your company. So you have to offer some kind of a path that will make CSM feel valued, that the company invests in them, that the leader understands their needs and the capabilities and where they can grow, which, by the way, is very important, definitely for the younger generations, not my generation. So I think these will be the main, let's say, tips and framework that I would suggest.
Maybe just let me jump in, because one additional question, totally understood, really hands-on tips. I think everyone can really iterate for his or her use case. You mentioned like the development path, like the training. Maybe you have some more insights on that. How would you structure that, bringing in like different sessions? And I really like your idea on seeing it like a customer going through the journey. So coming back to the CSM who's also running through the customer journey, kind of. So very, very nice one.
I think when it comes to learning and training, I think last year's and as technology evolves, showed us that there is no one way to learn. First of all, it has to be, I think you need to recruit people who are eager to learn, who have the continuous learning and continuous improvement mindset. And I think every leader, regardless of CS leader, should promote it within the team. You can take the case of, okay, sometimes I need formal learning, project management, maybe data analysis. Maybe I can send them to a course to learn about Power BI or Looker or whatever. Maybe they can learn on their own. Maybe they can do a remote course or virtual course. So that's kind of more traditional or half traditional aspect. I very much promote in my team course mentoring. So I have domain experts of different types, and then I kind of encourage them, because that's also promotes them within the team, to be the experts within the team and mentor some other people. So that's another concept. Another option is for the leader, as much as the leader has the time, to decide, maybe not every week, maybe once a month, to do kind of mentoring session with his team members about specific areas where they can improve based on experience, based on case studies, based on the customer interactions. Some CSM can bring some challenges that they have with the customers that relate to one of those domains, and then you break it down to more learning and meaningful learning. So that will be some of my ideas, suggestions to do. And one more thing, which I actually posted about it this week, customer learning. So try to see what you can learn from your customers. There's so much wealth of knowledge that hides between the interactions that we have with customers, that you can learn how they take decisions, how they evaluate software, how they deliver, how they deploy, how they treat their vendors, how they treat compliance, not everything, how they know what they know about the market, what they know about competition, how you are structured versus your competitors, because your competitors talk. So all of that, if you think about it, provides a lot of learning opportunities.
Very, very good one. And what would you recommend to get to that knowledge from the customer side? So is it basically a set of questions you use, and or do you also like use other techniques to find out about these things from customer side?
So I tend to be opportunistic about that. So a specific methodology, but being a bit very curious, as I said, not generally about learning, and then thinking, okay, I can do it also with my customers, and then try to pick pieces. If you come to them and ask them something out of context, they will not answer. But if I have a CSM and I know that enterprise customer, like we have an RFP, okay, maybe I don't need to respond to our RFP, but can I see what they are looking for in terms of their vendor management, or how I'm supposed to manage them? Or if we have a POC with a customer, can I get some information from pre-sales about how the customer requirements? That's even within my team. Don't even need to go to the customer. But when I manage a customer, I gave an example, stakeholder change. So we're always a bit nervous about it. But stakeholder change means a new person, either from the organization outside, maybe he or she worked with my competition before. Maybe they have other ideas. Surely they have other ideas. So the part of the introduction should be to hear about their expectations, about their experience. So each and every person actually that you engage with as part of your customer relation can probably offer you some new insights and ideas. And these are just few examples. But basically, you need to be a bit opportunistic and find out those places where you can ask the right questions at the right time, because they are related to what you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, super good, and super hands-on. So I think that's also from the soft skill kind of
exactly going
part,
back
like
to the soft skills.
Curiosity part, and being eager to learn and also learn from and with your customers. So very, very good one. And maybe then from the multifaceted CSM framework, we jump to also the profile change in revenue growth. So maybe let's use the last couple of minutes also to have some hands-on tips and tricks how to bring the CSM profile, the CSM role, the hiring really into that direction from your point of view.
So I would say that, and I ran some workshops on this one, which are very hands-on and practical. So if you're a CSM leader and you want to see how well your candidates or potential candidates are involved in growing opportunities, ask them to give you some examples of how they identify. Mm-hmm. You need real practical examples of how they identify opportunities. Is it just because you look at data? Is it because you ask the right questions? I mean, there are so many opportunities behind us. I mean, some products charge for usage, some charge for the number of users, some have tiers, and you can help customers to move from one tier to the next. And there are other, sometimes people sell projects, professional services. So there are different models out there. So what are your experience? How did you manage to identify? What were the hints? What were the interactions that you had with the customer, or with sales, or somebody else? So that's one. Then I could ask questions about how you can qualify an opportunity. So again, that's maybe a bit more complicated at times, but it's not that difficult. So I would like to see if they know, with which stakeholders they talked. Do they know how to identify the budget owner? Do they understand about timing? priorities, because all of that affect and impact whatever the scope or the requirement is clear. And if I can kind of mark some good experience on those candidates, I think I have a good person to work with. And I think these are the two things. And then, and maybe, not maybe, and the third one will be how they collaborated with sales. What is their experience? They are completely detached from sales. I don't know if I want, and unless there's somebody who's very, very good, I don't know if I want them in my turn to get the first experience in sales. That's something that I would like to see also being demonstrated in an interview.
Super good. So I think everyone can pick some things of that and learn and iterate at least personal or for his or her team, as I mentioned. So, well, as I said, time is running. I think we could speak even hours about several topics, and as the industry is changing and evolving that fast. So, Guy, very pleased to have you here, and thank you very much for your time and all your contribution. It was a super great episode and lots of learnings. Thanks for that.
Sure. Thanks, Christian. And there's always next time if you want to continue.
Absolutely. I'm open for that.
We'll schedule the next time.